Perspective Class 12 Video 1. In this video we're going to talk about linear perspective. In previous videos we've been talking about central projection as a way of projecting a three-dimensional object onto a two-dimensional plane. Central projection very closely models how we actually see the world with our eyes. It's a very useful type of projection in this manner. There are some technical differences between how we see the world and how central projection works. So one difference is that for the most part, most humans have two eyes. So that means that if I try and draw a picture of a human with two eyes, these are the eyes, each eye sort of sees like a different picture. But then your brain sort of combines these two pictures into one. And this is something which isn't present in central projection, because in central projection we always assume that there is exactly one eye. Okay? But, I mean, the difference between the two pictures which your eyes see, it's a very small difference. I mean, your eyes are very close together on your head, so the difference is very small. Another difference between central projection and how humans actually see the world is that eyes are not points. So what I mean by this is, if you recall, like our definition of central projection is you have your coordinate axes, you have your projecting plane, so this is like the plane onto which you're projecting, and you have your point living out here, and what you do is you draw the line between the eye, and that's not a very good line, so I do it again, the eye and the point, and wherever the point, that line intersects the blue line, that's where you map the yellow line point to. So in this case, the yellow point would be mapped to that point right there. Well, this is assuming that the eye is a point object, so like the eye has 0 dimension. But a real human eye, it's not a point. Like your retina, the light receptive part of your eye, actually has some diameter. So this causes some issues with like focus and depth of field, which isn't present in central projection. But despite these differences, central projection is still a very good model for how we see the world. It's so good, in fact, that it's sort of the go-to model if you want to draw hyper-realistic pictures or hyper-realistic graphics. Okay? And when an artist or a graphic designer is using central projection to make an image, they tend to call it linear perspective. So I'll write this as a definition. It's not really anything new, it's just a new name for something we already know. So when central projection is used in art, or like computer graphics, it's called linear perspective. Okay, so when you use central projection to produce an image like a sketch or a painting or some computer graphics, you tend to say you like it was created with linear perspective. Okay, so who were the first people to think about this sort of thing? Well, this is a pretty famous woodcut. Well, it's a copy of a woodcut by Albrecht Dürer. Okay, and in this image you can see that the draftsman, this person right here, is trying to use central projection to sketch this subject right here. So the obelisk in front of his face has a point, and he's trying to treat this point right here as like the eye, and then this like weird window here with a grid is the viewing plane, and then the woman in recline is the subject of the painting, and it's divided into a grid just because that makes it easier to draw. Like if you can divide your subject into smaller pieces, it's easier to sketch each of the smaller pieces. So this is a woodcut by an artist called Albrecht Dürer. And Albrecht Dürer was one of the first people to study central projection, linear perspective, mathematically. So he was an artist, but he also published books on mathematics and perspective. And he was one of the first people to publish a book on linear perspective. So he was one of the first people to formally study this idea of perspective. Okay, that's the end of this video.